Hello. Okay, so I am planning into my 2025 and I wanted to carry you along. So this, you can see my setup is a bit different today. I'm going to be sitting down and be lying down at some times so that I'll be able to write. But I just wanted to carry you along in case you have been wanting to plan for the year 2025 and you don't know how to go about it. I got you covered. And right, I have my tree here. Let's put this one here. And I have several books, okay? So I have this, it's called Happiness Diary. That's what it's written on it. But actually, I use it for my YouTube related stuff. If I get an idea for a video for YouTube, usually that's what I write it in. I use Notion for most of these things, but these days I like to write with my hand. I don't know why, but I love it when I write with my hand. So when I get ideas for YouTube, this is where I write it in. And this book has been through a lot. So this is the book I usually write my goals for the year, and I've had this book since 2019. I write my goals for the year, I come back to do a mid-year review, all inside this book. So you see sticky notes and all of those things. This is my 2022 plan or goals for the year. And then I have this diary or a journal. It's a special journal. I only write it there when something very special. So for today, like this, as I'm crossing into the new year, I'll be writing my reflection for the year inside this journal. And then I have this journal which I write like everyday journal. So literally every day when I wake up, like what happened in my day and all of those things, I just write it there so that I don't forget about my days, and it's been very helpful. And I have my Bible here because I'm planning into the year and I'm a Christian and I need some scriptural backings and some scripture points to get me going for the year. So that's the books on that side. Now to this book. So this year I'm trying to retire this book, right? So everything 2025 I'm gonna write it in this book. So when it comes to planning, as you can see, it's a clean slate. I've only written 2025 in it, so all the plannings we are going to do will be done inside this book. Now I have a lot of sticky notes here as part of my planning and things I just need to jot down and stick them. I have a lot of highlighters. A girl needs some color in her life. I have a lot of pens and markers and pencils here. I even have Vaseline because it's summertime season. And I have this jar which I'll come into it very soon. I have some few books here. Most of the things I usually plan for or about like inspirations I got from books. So I have, if you are not new to my channel, you know I love Atomic Habits by James Clear. I have Feel Good Productivity because we need to be productive in 2025 by Ali Abdal. And most of the things that I'm going to be talking about will be from this book called the 12-week year. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books. And I have this book to the Self-Homemaker. Here we meet today. I'm saying here we meet today as if they are human beings. And I have some tea here, lemon ginger tea and then I have water because it looks like I'm going to be here for a long time. I have a laptop here, I have my phone here because I have so many things to write and to type and just to plan. But I just wanted you to see, and don't be overwhelmed by all these books. All you need is just one book. Please do not be overwhelmed by all of these things. It's just me, okay? All you need is just one book like this. You can get an exercise book, a notebook, a journal, just one book. Even if you don't even have a book, you can use your phone notes app to do it. But I love to write with my hands. So yep, now let's get into how I go about this one. Usually to plan into the next year, you have to reflect back on the old year and like see what happened in the year. And for me, I go back to the goals I set for the year. So for 2024, this was my 2024, and usually before I start planning, I usually brainstorm like certain things. So this was the brainstorming part. And in the 2024, like I have even my theme for the year. Like, what am I seeking to achieve? That one thing where at the end of the year, if I mention that word, I would know if I was able to meet that or not before I come up with the goals. So for the reflection period, I've already thought through most of these things. So today is just the writing part of like all of these things. So usually like I'll go through these things, but I don't plan once a year. For the most part of this year, every week I had like a weekly goal where I just write a few things that I wanted to do in the week. And most of these weekly goals I derive from the main goals of the year, so that at the end of the time, like I know I've achieved it. And on 1st July of this year or every year, what I usually do is to sit down and do a mid-year review. So like assess the first 6 months of the year. What are the things I've achieved? What are the things I'm lagging behind? And then assess myself. And this is the time to really be truthful to yourself. Be very honest with yourself. The thing is, if you are lying to yourself, right? You are the one who said you are going to achieve, like, do these things. So if you decide not to do them and lie to yourself, you did it. Who is at lost, right? So I write down like just an opinion or just a reflection of what I think is going on, like areas I'm doing well, areas I'm not doing well, and if I have to change some goals. Sometimes we are very ambitious when we are setting New Year resolutions and plans, but when the year starts, anyway, and then I write like a redirection. So this becomes my new goals for the second half of the year, from July to December. So now that December has come, today is the 30th of December 2024. So now that it's here, I am going to pick this book and then write like my reflection of the year. And then I don't think you want to sit down and see me doing all the writing. You have time. So I'm going to write it and then I'll come back to this and we will continue. So I'm done writing my reflection of the year. So I wrote 1 page reflection and 1 page like a letter to 2025. Yo, it's not the Lulu, okay? But you need to put some things in place. So now that we are done with this chapter of 2024, let's go into 2025. And usually I like to brainstorm, okay? So before I go into the year, I like to, I'm just going to leave the first page empty. 2025 brainstorming. I like to just like, before I was reflecting, like I know the kind of things I want to do for my next year, but I just like to write them down just anyhow on a sheet of paper, and then after that I will plan them and organize them nicely. So like I always do, I look at big areas of my life, so spirituality, academics, finances, relationships like friendships and all of those things. And then I will like now break them down into what do I want to do in the year. But then I came across this book, the 12-week year this year, and I bought it and I read it. And this book is going to change and influence how I plan for 2025. Usually I just plan for the whole year and hopefully I follow through every week, but that don't always happen. And according to the authors of this book, they are saying that don't just plan for the year, because when you plan for the year and in January you don't do it, you're like, well, there's still 11 months to get things done, and then February comes and you say there's still 10 months, and by the time you know it's October and now you are rushing through and you are thinking about like the year didn't year for me. You are like, oh, I couldn't achieve my goals and all of those things, because when you plan for the year, you think the year is so long that you can keep giving excuses about it, and by the time you know, the year has ended. So according to these authors, like the title says, it says you should plan for every 12 weeks, right? So So in 2025, I can plan for the first 3 months, and then when the first 3 months ends, I would come back and sit down like the way I'm sitting down today, as if I'm starting another year, reflect on what I have achieved, and then plan again for the second 12 months. So if I do that, that means I'll be having 4 planning series. I have 4 planning sessions in 2025. So I'm doing one now. I do one towards the end of March, one towards the end of June, another towards the end of July, I think so. And then the year will end. So that's according to them, which I think is a good thing, because I always do one and then do mid-year reflection, and sometimes I forget about my plans. So but what I'm going to do is to come up with like big ideas, like big things I want to do in 2025, right? Like, what are the major things I want to do? And then from there, after I come up with the major things I want to do for 2025, I'm just going to plan for the first 3 months of 2025. That's that. So that every week I'll come back and reflect on it. Because I just have 12 weeks to deal with, I'll be more serious. Because you all know, we all have that New Year resolution. By the time the first month ends and February ends, people have already thrown away their New Year resolutions and they've forgotten about the year, right? But if you know by the end of March you're coming back to plan again, you would be able to make the most out of the year. So they say get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. We don't want to be like people who plan and write New Year resolutions, and by February we don't see them, and that's the end, and they keep living their life that's let's see how it goes. Nope, we are better than that. So I'm just going to write some big things I want to do. And before I get into that, have you seen my jar? It's called Jar of Blessing Good Things 2025. So I saw this on Twitter, and I think I've seen this a few times before, right? But people come up with, like, you have a jar where at the end of every week you will write something good that happened in the week and put it in the jar. So that's why I have a lot of sticky notes here. So I just write and fold and put it inside. For right now it's empty, there's nothing inside because the year hasn't started yet. And then on the eve of 2026, like on 31st night of 2026, you can pour it down and read through and see what happened. Because the thing is, we as human beings, we forget a lot. My neck is paining me. We as human beings, we forget a lot, and if you write it, you would remember, and then you'll be able to be appreciative. I promise. When I started journaling consistently since June, like a few days ago, I was feeling a bit down, and I just opened this and I was reading through like how my days have been. I didn't even read through all of them. I was just looking at the title. Usually when I want to journal, I have a title. Like, I have a title before I journal, like what I want to write about. And looking at only the titles alone and just reading through a few of the things I had journaled about, I was like, what? This happened this year? I didn't even remember. And when I read through it, now brought memories of some of the days. I would have just forgotten about them if I hadn't written them. I know this looks like nerdy people stuff, but I promise, writing things down just makes your life a little more better. Get clarity of thoughts. Go check my video on how to journal, okay? Yes, so now let's brainstorm. My neck is feeling, I need to start writing. Let's brainstorm on the major things we want to do in 2025. One of the major things, which I'm going to put it out there so that everybody will know I want to do in 2025, is to make an attempt to write a book. Yes. Yep. That's one of my major things. I have never written a book. I don't really have much knowledge about writing. I journal, and sometimes I go back and read. I'm like, what? Somebody who wrote this? Ooh, that was good. But I've not, aside academic writing, which I've done a few times, I haven't really written the way I want to write. So in 2025, I'm going to make an attempt. I already have an idea what I want to write about. I'm just a bit conflicted and all of those things. So because I want to write a book, most of the books I want to read I want them to be related to writing, like how to write, what to do, and those things. So most of my goals is to read books related to writing. Oh my god, I don't know if you can hear some noise, but I live close to a train, whatever, and the train is passing by and there's a lot of noise. So I'm going to pause this video and then I'll come back. Hi, I'm back after the train happened. I went to look for food to eat. I spoke to my friend for like 2 hours, and after so many hours, I'm back to continue. But I wrote a few things down, and I'm not lying down again because my neck hurts. Yo, my neck hurts. Okay, so going back, so the brainstorming period, I wrote down a few major things I usually plan into, which I think I'm still going to write down like major things under each of them. But for the main planning itself, I'm just planning from January to March of 2025. Okay, so I have here spiritual, health, academic, relationships, personal finance, personal growth, which most of these ones fall under that, and then like better habits. What better habits can I have, or can I develop, or better habit can I create for myself that will help me to become a better person? Adventure or traveling goals, new ideas to embark on, new skills to learn, time management, and YouTube goals. Okay, so in the brainstorming process, right, so for each of the goals I write, I'm like, what do I want to achieve at the end of the year? And I'm just going to be a bit more open and just show you some of the things. For example, which one should we be? Let's be spiritual goals, right? Read your Bible, pray every day if you want to grow. So if I want to grow, I would have to read my Bible and pray. But it's not just reading, like I have to dedicate time to study and to pray. I'll have to surround myself with spiritual growth materials, like reading spiritual books or listening to spiritual messages, and going to church and having friends that pray. Like surround myself with the kind of people who are also seeking a similar thing as me, right? So when I'm talking spiritual goals, these are the things that are in my mind. When I'm thinking health goals, eating healthy is one of them. Making sure I walk more. Since I'm not consistent with the gym, I'm still trying to see if I'll be able to, for the first time ever in 2025, see if I can be consistent at the gym or not. And I have relationship goals, which is to become a better friend. A friend of mine called me 2 days ago and literally blasted me for several hours that I don't like calling, which is true, to be honest. That's the thing. I mean, friendship shouldn't just be one-sided, right? So one of my goals is to become a better friend. And how do I become a better friend? Usually when you are planning, you have to ask the how and the why and the what's, right? So it's not just becoming a better friend, but how can you be a better friend? Making sure I call my friends more regularly, checking up with them, even if it's not a call, I can text them more regularly and check up on them and see how they are doing. So this year the goal is not making new friends. It doesn't mean I'm not open to making new friends, but the goal is to ensure that the current relationships I have, I nurture them and be a better person. Make sure they are thriving. Like I have good friends, right? So make sure I become a good and a better friend to them as well, right? And personal finance goals, tracking finances. Sometimes I have been tracking finances for a long time now, but a part of this year I stopped tracking my finances. I don't know why. I think it was out of guilt, right? But then around September, or I think October, I picked it up again. And sometimes I just go back and I'm like, who bought these things? Who spends that? Yeah, it's a lot. So it helps you be in check, like practicing tracking your finances, budgeting, saving, those kind of things, ways to make more money and all of those things. And adventure, I want to travel more. The world is big and small at the same time, but I want to get to see other places. And so now if I get an opportunity to go on an adventure, hopefully if I can afford it, I think I want to hop on to that. Skills to learn. I'm still brainstorming on this because it's like every year I write the same things and I end up not. But one of the skills is writing, right? Like I mentioned earlier, my goal is to write a book this year. Hopefully, if I'm able to do that, I think I would have a good year. And then time management. Social media is a lot. I won't even lie. And I want to be able to put my phone down a lot more times this year than I am already doing. Ugh. We spend so much time. I know I spend so much time sometimes scrolling through aimlessly, and I just leave feeling empty, and that doesn't help. And I have a lot of things to do. So for me to be able to achieve my goals, I need to find a way to be able to manage my time, because I still have important things. I have school and internships and those things to do. So to add these things to that means I have to make sure I spend less time on my phone. I have YouTube goals. Amidst all these things that has happened, how do I ensure I'm still able to make videos and post consistently? So that maybe find a day in a week where I record all my videos at once, find a day where I'm able to edit at least 1 or 2 videos a week, and all of those things. So basically that is the brainstorming process, right? And so the next part here is for me to write it out more nicely. This is just me pouring out my brain, like just to think, right? So the next step is now to turn to a new page and write like my goals for the year, which I don't think you want to sit down and watch me writing blah 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 blah. So if I'm done writing, I'll come back to this and I'll give you closing ceremony. This was a mess. I give you closing ceremony. That's it. This was highly unscripted. I just wanted to plan into my year, and I decided that I should record this video. So you can see my hair is a mess. Everything here is a mess. Please don't judge me. The goal is to have a better 2025. So after I'm done writing, I'll show you what I've done, okay? With the sticky notes and the highlights and all of those things. Hi everyone, I told you I was going to come back to show you the final plan. So this is it, right? So this is the book. The brainstorming pages are here, and this is where I began the planning process. Like I have a theme for the year, I have an anchor scripture and some declarations written down, for the year. And then the declarations are a lot, actually. And then this is where the planning itself begins. I don't know if you can see it. Like I mentioned severally, I've divided them into spiritual health, academic relationships, personal finance, personal growth, and all of those things. But because of that book, these are just general things I want to see at the end. So like I wrote them and highlighted them with different colors. And now I have from week 1 to week 12 plans in the next pages. So from now till the end of March, what I'm planning to do. And those plans are a bit more like specific that I want to do. So if you come here, those are no longer vague things like writing a book, but I'm breaking things down. So I have like steady James to Revelations for the next 3 months. And I have like walk 10,000 steps in January, like for every day. Remember when I did a video on walking 10,000 steps every day? I want to start it in January so that I don't rush myself to the gym. When I get consistent with walking 10,000 steps every day, then I can move into the gym in February, right? So I've broken like most of these academic goals, assignments that I have to do, like so many other things, the kind of videos I even want to make from now till March. All of those things are broken down here, a bit more specific. it doesn't mean I have everything written now. So like skills to learn, so like the books to read. For example, oh, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So, like, as I've done those things, I have come to the month of January and basically things I want to do. And, like, from tomorrow onwards, which is, I'm now recording this on the 31st. Okay. So, from tomorrow onwards, what I want to do, like, what books do I want to read? So, I have 5 books I want to read in January. Usually, January, I don't read a lot of books because I need to enter the year a bit more calm and slowly. So, I'm reading, the Circle Maker. I think it's in one of the clips when I was recording the video yesterday. I've read the book a few times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and I want to read it again. I'm reading on writing. Remember, we want to write a book, and then 3 other fictional books called Double Minds by Terry Blackstock and Cape Refuge. This is my first time of trying out the author's book, so wish me luck. And then I'm going to read Thief of Corinth by Tessa Afshar. I read her books, so yeah, I don't even know if I read this or no, but I just wanted to read her books, yeah, more in 2025. So basically, that was the planning process. It's just now like a more organized, color coding and sticky notes, and hopefully all the work that I've done here, as much as this is important, the most important part is actually making sure I do the things I say I will do. That is what will help me to have a better year. So if you have any questions about planning, if you are stuck or confused about anything, if you have watched the video to this time, that means, oh, you've done so well. And I wish you all the best in 2025. And if you have anything, leave it in the comment section and I will respond as much as I can. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. Bye, 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 bye.